President Donald Trump is looking for someone to blame after the disastrously disappointing Tulsa rally. And he's, of course, taking aim at some of his top staffers. According to reports, Trump was left visibly shaken after less than 6,200 people showed up to watch him speak at the 19,000 seat BOK Arena. That, of course, look, that was supposed to be his gigantic comeback rally. Like, hey, the Trump train, we're back. You can't derail this train, this Death Star. Well, now you had a very sad, very low energy turnout that even other Republicans, are mocking. So now that's it. Trump's campaign manager, Brad Parscale, had overhyped this rally by boasting of 1 million RSVPs. Of course, as we know, a lot of those turned out to be TikTok teens and K-pop stans who hilariously punked the campaign by reserving free tickets and just not going. I couldn't imagine the rage like that Donald Trump could have had once he figured that out. And he was told, hey, turns out you got punked by a bunch of teenagers. Oh, that'd be fantastic to have been a fly on the wall in that room. So now we go to the response to this, right? Not just a blind rage, but also like what he's going to do staff-wise about this, as Brad Parscale clearly had no idea what he was doing and absolutely messed up. So now, according to Gabriel Sherman, citing Republican sources, Brad, and this is what they're saying, quote, Brad really shit the bed Saturday night. You have to remember, execution is 95% of presidential politics. Well, you got another Republican source that spoke to another outlet saying about the rally, quote, it's politics 101. You underpromise and overdeliver. Parscale, of course, did not do that. And so, I mean, you had 6,200 people show up. It's sad. Baby. Sherman reported that the empty sections in the arena so enraged Trump that he had even threatened to not go on stage. Yeah. Imagine being one of those Trump people who actually decided to show up. It's not hard to imagine. You think COVID is a hoax, climate change is a hoax, Donald Trump is the best thing since sliced bread, and that, his bad polling is only because of fake news, right? And then you expect to be, packed into this rally, and you're not going to wear a mask, of course, because you don't believe COVID is real. And so you're going to breathe in that COVID air, standing shoulder to shoulder with your fellow MAGA hat wearers, right? And then you get there, and there's nobody there. Oops. And so not only that, but the guy that you're there to see, that you think is better than Jesus, or is like a modern day Jesus, is getting so mad that nobody is there that he's like, I'm not going to go out there. No, I'm not going to go out there. Hilarious, right? It's so good thinking about it. Yes, I am experiencing Schadenfreude. So, I mean, again, looks out at that crowd, and it must have destroyed his very fragile ego, because that's what he has. I mean, even if it does so for just a moment, where he has a moment of self-reflection and awareness, like, oh my God, it turns out people hate me. Bubble was shattered, man. The terrible, terrible truth revealed to him. And it was so good. So now the other issue here with Parscale, other than messing up the rally because he has no idea what he's doing, because he has no political experience. It doesn't mean that Brad Parscale is necessarily a dumb person. Oh, no, I actually think that he's got this on lock, right? Because he puts the priorities of him making money off Trump over Trump winning re-election. And so, look, that's devious / smart. You actually have to be a thinking person to do that, to screw over the person that normally screws over, to con the con, right? And that's what's going on, right? He's been making a killing off Trump. In fact, there's a conservative columnist writing in the Bulwark, and this is Jonathan Last, and he wrote this about Parscale. Quote, To understand what Parscale is doing, you have to flip the telescope around 180 degrees and realize that he didn't build a Death Star, which is, of course, ironic because they would boast about the Trump Death Star. You realize Death Star is a tool of fascist oppression in Star Wars that destroys innocent planets, right? Or I should say planets with innocent people on it, right? I mean, do you have any self-awareness of what this is? And of course, that would make the progressives, Democrats, to be the rebel alliance, the good guys in this one. I swear they don't seem to get it. But okay. Nonetheless, Last writes, well, he didn't build it. He built the biggest Nigerian print scam in the history of the world. But then adds, the target of his scam wasn't the rubes on the internet. No, Parscale built a scheme to take dead aim at the president of the United States and the guy in the big guy bit. That look you saw on Trump's face Saturday night, that wasn't sadness or defeat. And I think I have that image here. That wasn't sadness or defeat. It was a realization that he's been the mark all along. So now I get it. I think the framing of that is, well, none of this is Donald Trump's fault. It's all Brad Parscale's fault. Yes and no. Look, again, that framing absolves Trump of any of basically any responsibility. I think that's dumb because, no, Donald Trump definitely shares responsibility because he's supposed to be running this thing. But he's an idiot and he doesn't actually do anything. He doesn't actually like to work. And so, yeah, it's part of his fault for not managing because he can't manage himself out of a paper bag. He's not management material. Remember, the Trump family, look, so I'm not going to say the Trump family, but the Trump name, right? Donald Trump is so stupid and he can't manage anything that people just pay him for the name. They don't pay him to build hotels. No, they just pay for the licensing name for the licensing fees for the name. And so that's how he makes his money. Just licensing his name. And so he doesn't build campaigns. He doesn't work. He doesn't really do anything. Doesn't manage. And so all of that is left to other people, which makes people like Parscale, who are like, money, 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 right? Well, why don't I just, go and make money off this guy? And it's so easy. In fact, Parscale, after working for Trump, has made millions of dollars, and he has also gotten a Ferrari, a Range Rover, $400,000 boat, $2 million condos, and a $2.4 million waterfront house in Fort Lauderdale. And before working for the Trump campaign, he went from an obscure web developer to driving Ferraris. And so, look, even if Parscale isn't running a scam, and his, I don't know, it's kind of weird even saying the word legitimate, right, for what he's doing. But, okay, even if it was just like he didn't mean to, and he's just like, okay, I didn't set up a scam, but I just decided to take what money I could. Well, he took a lot of money. He milked the Trump campaign for millions of dollars. And now it could be that Trump's catching on, but we don't know. I mean, which brings me to Kushner, right? So now Kushner, after the Tulsa rally, takes over a little bit from Parscale. So now sources tell Vanity Fair that the president had reportedly grown increasingly frustrated at polls which recent weeks consistently showed him trailing Joe Biden by double digits. And that's under Parscale, so that's why he's upset about Parscale and put Kushner in there. But Kushner is already doing a billion things, and none of them good, right? For example, he's in charge of peace in the Middle East. How's that go? Not very well. He's fighting coronavirus. How's that going? Not very well. So he's basically been put in charge of everything and sucks at everything. So now that gets backed up, by the way, by John Bolton. Now, John Bolton recently said in an interview a day after the Trump rally that Kushner, aside from Trump, is actually one of the most powerful people in the White House. he's basically, when you think about it, he's the president. He's doing everything. Well, no wonder everything's falling apart. In fact, Bolton said it varied from time to time, but the sustained answer to that question is Jared Kushner. And of course, that's a response to asking who's in charge, who's really running things. So now, that said, Donald Trump will get annoyed at Kushner. In fact, he got annoyed at Kushner when it came to Parscale, when he found out how much they were actually paying Parscale, how much he was getting from the campaign. And Trump's like, wait, Kushner, Jared, did you allow this? Did you say that this was okay? He's going to get in trouble, but at the same time, Donald Trump's not going to fire his son-in-law, but he could fire Parscale. So now some of the possible replacements for Parscale floated have been Jason Miller and Corey Lewandowski. Now, Corey Lewandowski, of course, is considered, and not just him, but some of the other replacements to Parscale are basically, considered by Trump to be lightweights. So in the end, we're not sure exactly who's going to replace Parscale, even if Parscale gets fired. But look, a lot of these, and the reason that I cite Vanity Fair is because generally Gabriel Sherman, when he makes these predictions and then gets laughed at by the right wing, they usually turn out to be correct. And so Parscale, he says Parscale is on the way out because of Donald Trump's unhappiness with the polls and unhappiness with, of course, how much he's making off Trump and the conservative backlash as well against Parscale. And so we don't really know, but I think we can be reasonably sure that Parscale is likely either going to be fired or moved to an inconsequential part of the campaign because of all of these complete and utter fuck ups. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm gonna have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.